Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook along with Vince Boddicker with Farmers Trading Company. We've seen some mixed trade over in the grains today. Right now, we've got corn and beans higher. Wheat is mixed. And over in the livestock futures, we've been leaning mostly higher with a few exceptions. Let's talk about this grain trade. First of all, obviously, the corn market saw some early pressure, Vince, but we've come back here. Do you think that's been because of a change in the weather pattern again, or what?
You would think just the timing of it when it came back from being 4 to 5, 6 lower to being on the plus side, you got to be a weather forecast, and everything that I have seen the last day or so really hasn't changed anything. I think the market is still of that belief that it's going to change and we're going to get rain, but if it doesn't, it could get a little interesting.
It's been interesting to watch this market, though, trade these forecasts out so far, especially since you look at the drought monitor yesterday, drought, dryness expanding, and the market, kind of took some note of that. But we've got a long way to go before we get this crop in the bin.
We do. But I think the market over the years has seen, with the exception of last year and a few other ones, for the most part, the crop always comes through. But we're in some unique situations. We've seen some agronomists in our area the last few days talk about no zonal roots in the corn. It's too dry. They're not growing it. We don't see rain in the next week or so. You may have that corn die. So we'll have to see just how that shakes out. If we start hearing things of that nature, then maybe we get some of those funds that have been selling this thing to say, let's exit the market. And maybe those algorithm traders jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, you get those pops here, and you got to think maybe they are short covering. And it's not because of demand. Exports were pretty horrible again this morning on corn, weren't they?
That they were. I'm sure that didn't help us early along with wheat going from higher to 14 lower. But yeah, we just can't find anything consistent from the fundamental side besides the weather. And right now, they seem like they want to focus on other items as selling because I can.
So exports were maybe just a little bit better on soybeans and on corn this morning, but soybeans have kind of taken the lead. What's driving that market today, do you think?
You wonder when it could be unwinding of corn bean spreads. The other side of it is
Yeah.
we look at a bean chart, percentage wise, we probably sold off more than we did in the corn. So they're taking, maybe a little bit more push to the upside on the correction because of that.
Yeah, I wondered if it was somewhat technical in nature, because we did have a pretty horrible start to the week. Also, soybean oil has really been recovering nice the last couple of days. We had a strong crush number, a record number for, I believe, April out of USDA as well, which should be helpful.
Definitely. And stocks didn't, grow all that much in light of that, which was good to see. Now we just got to see again what trade wants to think. What does the weather forecast look like coming into Sunday night? Would think it could continue to be a little interesting to the upside. And I think if we really focus on what happened this week in the sell off on Tuesday and early into Wednesday, if we exceed those lows on the downside, I think we got to be a little careful. If we don't, that is probably good support. And if someone wants to lift some hedges, or if you want to be friendly, pick up some feed needs, that's probably your defense point that you look at.
Yeah. So you told me meal exports, though, were very good this morning, and they have been like the last 3 weeks, I think, haven't they?
Yes, they have. And I'm guessing part of that is, lack of beans in Argentina, but they still got lots of stuff from their neighbors in Brazil they can buy from. So I would think that's going to be the case, especially with Brazilian beans continuing to be discount to US.
And the wheat market is mixed. HRW wheat seeing a little bit of pressure, and you think that is a weather play?
The rains that we've gotten over the last week, I think the trade's going to say, hey, look, at rain makes grain, but if they're harvesting already, I'm just not sure how much we're going to help. All the ability to tiller and to put more out there is gone, in my estimation. You may help some fills, but I'm not sure you do a lot more than that. Forecast for Europe, it's been hot the last 2 weeks. The forecast for the next 2 weeks is still pretty hot. So did we start looking at those things? Don't know. Right in here, I think many people not sure if they should be bullish or bearish, but look at it from the US side, which we can't, just from a narrow-minded point of things look pretty bleak, but what will we do worldwide when we're done?
All right. And as you and I speak, we started off the conversation and both Chicago and HRW wheat were lower and now they're a little bit higher again. And so, boy, that market is really choppy. It's hard to keep a track of what's really happening besides spread trade and in the futures there.
Right. And the only good thing about that is volatility is what you like to, what you're usually going to see at a bottom or a top. And it sure doesn't look much like a top in here. So
Yeah.
hopefully we're building a base. But I think, again, we look at Wednesday morning's low as a key factor in all the grains.
Right. And we did have some cancellations in terms of exports on wheat, and demand has really been an issue for that wheat market here, hasn't it?
It has been just, again, premium price to where everybody else is at the sell off we've had. One has to believe gets us much more in line from where we're at, but I'd have to do some math and just see where we're at. But that was part of the big problem, I think, on the way down.
Cattle have turned back mixed now in the feeders. Were lower with that corn market taken off, but live cattle futures and feeders both scoring more new contract highs here this morning. And we've just continued to hear of even today some very, very strong cash trade on a Fed basis.
Definitely, and I think it's a situation where that Packer can hold off and not pay up early in the week, and they can get some people to get scared and sell them things. Great if they can't, they got to pay up. I think that's what they did. One has to believe that, at least if I were a Packer and knew I was going to pay up what I did, I'd be coming out and buying the futures before I came back and did the cash. And I think that's just what they did, got the market going. So I think they're fairly well covered if this thing rallies.
The other thing I want to ask you about is when we get up to these lofty levels, Vince, do producers have to be concerned about this thing turning quickly, the funds maybe all heading for the door at the same time and not being protected? Or is that a concern they don't need to have, or what?
I think when you look at it from the big picture of numbers, they're not going to increase any time. The real concern we need to have is where, at what point does the consumer say enough is enough, I'm not going to pay? How much will the packer give up and the retailer to keep beef moving out the door? But I think a black swan thing, whatever that may be, is your bigger concern. And if you're out here and you're making some good money, I think you have to have some protection on. I'm usually not a big fan of looking at the options market or the LRP, but I think you have to look at either one of those to have something in place so you can still participate on the upside. And I'm not saying buy something at the money. I don't think that's wise if you think it's still going up, but you have to protect part of this one way, shape, or form.
And hogs were up again today, and we had a big up day on Tuesday and Wednesday. And was all of this just short covering and correcting this oversold status in the market, or what?
I think only time will tell us. We've been faked out a couple of times since March, thinking we had a bottom in the hog market. Hopefully, we do here the way we beat it up, but no guarantees. As we all know, we got big supplies of ham and bellies in the freezers. We need to get rid of those. The trade's still worried that we're not going to have that summer rally for those reasons. And I think the other situation we can't forget about is Proposition 12 in California.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Vince Boddicker, Farmers Trading Company. That's Markets Now.